Hello guys, in this episode I'm going to talk about view attributes and let's get into it. First of all, what are view attributes? Attributes are actually these things that you write in your XML file. Everything you put like text, text size, text color, and as you know, these values are actually linked to other resources that you can define in your application. For example, I can like reference this text here. And what happens, I hope you know, in Android, the resources are actually, you can have multiple resources for different cases. For example, I can define, let me show you like a strings resources file for another language. Locale, I don't know, like some other language, Danish, Norwegian, okay, and I can write another thing for app name here, string. And what happens here is that if your device, like a Danish user is opening the application, these resources files will be used instead of this one. And so we can easily write like the text for text view here, and it will change with the locale of the device. We can also like change text size or text color depending on the screen size and like whether the screen is horizontal or vertical and stuff. And so having the attributes defined here actually helps a lot. Also, like you know, there are like methods for text view. Like if you have a text view, you can also do it in code actually, like something like this. But you don't want this because for every layout and screen you are making, there are a lot of properties and attributes that you want to set, and it will be a huge difficulty to do this all inside your code. It's easier and faster to do it in resources, and you can change them easily too. So that's what attributes are and why are they useful. Why they are useful. So let's get here. Now I'm going to tell you how to define attributes and how to work with them. The first thing you do, okay, here, this attribute set object here, along with the def-style at, are actually the values that are provided to us by the layout inflator after reading these attributes here. The layout inflator reads these attributes and provides us with these objects that we can actually get the reference to these attributes here. First, but let me tell you how you can define a new attribute for your view. You go into values. Let me close these extra things. You go to values. Create a resource file called stylables. Stylables, yes. And it's the root element is resources, and it's shared. It's the same with the strings and with the colors and with the diamonds. It's just for like separating them to have them in different files, and it's because like you put strings for different locales, but you have your like dimensions or colors for different screen sizes, so you want them in separate files. Something like a styleable is not something that changes the locale. So, and it's also more clear that you just have them separate. So this tag declare styleable, it suggests the list of custom views that we have created. So I choose the custom view, and here You can write the attributes that you want. Like I want to create a new attribute for my custom view. I don't know, like age, and name is age, and then the format. You see, these are the formats that you can set. I will explain them one by one. This string is actually like a string. The user either, like in the layout file, you either write the string or use a resource references string. Doesn't matter. The enum is default values that you write. Integer, again, it's an integer or a resource of integer. Boolean the same, color the same, dimension the same. The flags are similar to the enum, but the flags actually the user can select multiple of them, and the code ORs them together. Float the same. The fraction is similar to float, with a difference that you can you can set the percent of the parent or just a certain percent. Like it can be a percent or a relative percent that in the code you, like when you want to get a fraction value, you also provide the size of the parent. And a reference is just a reference. You use it for like the drawables and other references like a font or other stuff. You can just specify that it will be a reference. You cannot specify the type of reference. So the age is an integer, and I also define another attribute called name. The format will be string. Also, let's have an education for a person. Format enum goes like this. You see, you can also write enum or flag. So I select enum, and the name will be, I don't know, diploma with value of 1, and doctorate, for example, with the value of 2, something like this. For the flags, you're gonna have to be careful about your values, and you will have to define similar variables in your code so you can have reference them. Private, public static final int education diploma, public static education doctorate. Okay, so I have these values here that are similar. Something else that you can do is specify, like you can OR this format too, like enum or a string. It works like this too, or enum or integer. It means that in XML you can either choose one of the enum values, or like write an integer directly. For example, the layout width is the same. It's an enum that can also be a diamond value, like this. You declare your attributes here. Also, you can there's something about the attributes when compiling the code and building stuff. These attributes are unique. It means that you can only have one like age attribute in your project and not multiple ones. Like for another custom view, I cannot write another age with a different format or even with the same format. Although you can reuse your attributes, like I can put the age attribute here, like just so that I have an age attribute, and then I can also say that for custom view I have the age attribute. If you use the format here, you will get an exception. It will not compile. So it goes like this. For the attributes that you have mutual in like multiple custom views, you can put them here on top and then reuse them in the bottom. So you can also use the Android default attributes. You just have to take the namespace code, and then what the H here? And then I can use one of these guys like Android text. So I have brought Android text attribute here too, and I can use it. So it helps you to use a lot of predefined attributes, and I think it feels nice that when someone is using your custom view, they can just, like, if it's text, it's, I don't know, like a title or something, they can just use the Android predefined attributes. Feels more integrated with the system. So here I have declared the attributes that I have for my custom view. Here they get compiled together. So this custom view here, the simple class name must match with this name that you write here. So now that I have defined them, I can use them here, like age, see, it just gets suggested like 18. I have another one called name, sure, education also gets suggested, diploma, for example, and what do we have? Text, and again I can use the reference. So that's how you define your attributes. And how to access and read them goes into the custom view. This is something you always do, and in the Android source code it's also like this. What you do is this: type array A. They always name it A. You just do this too. Context.obtain style attributes as r.styleable. Now I am referencing the styleable variable, the styleable resource that I created there. And the custom view is the first one that I created. You see, it's an integer array. I will explain to you later what it is. And then the style as and 0 for that one. So you get the typed array object that contains the attributes that you want. Here you define, you tell the system the attributes that you want. This is an integer array that contains the attributes that you have defined inside it. So it will be the array containing the IDs of these attributes, and I am telling here that I want these attributes from this attribute set, and I will have them in the typed array. And this is an actual object that comes from an object file, and you need to recycle it when you don't need it. You must do this. You see, the lint tells me that you have to do this. So you recycle it, and in here you can start reading the attributes. Now, in the source code, it's always like this that I'm gonna write. Let me show you how it goes in the source code of Android, how they read the typed array object. So final int count a.get size, I think, the count get index count for I count plus. So it goes like this. Index equals to a.get index at I. I will tell you in a bit what these guys are. Index custom view age equals to get int styleable index and 0, for example. So another one, else if index equals custom view, like education equals to, let's do something else. Education will be like getting integer again. I will just write get int and it will be done. But let's go for something else like text. Char sequence text equals to a dot get string. No, get text. You see, get a string converts the resource to a string. Get text returns it as a char sequence. It's actually more general. You can have the spannable things here too, that I will not explain. Index. So what's happening here? Inside this typed array, I have a bunch of indices that here I get the count of them, get index count. So I get the index. The indices are actually these values. Let me show you. Custom view. So it's an integer array, and this array contains a bunch of indices. These indices are the values like this: custom view age, custom view Android text. This Android text refers to this text that I have written here. I am referencing these guys. So I get the index at like the first index or the second index in the typed array, and then I compare it with the styleables that I have. And if they are there, I can read the value and do anything I want with it. This is how it works in Android. Something worth to mention is that you cannot use switch case here because these values are not final. It means that in different runs they might change, and if you actually use them in the switch case block, delete will get an error again. And you should always just do this in if and else cases. So this is how it goes in Android usually. I used to write them like this too, but then I figured it's not really necessary. I think, let me show you how I do this here. So I just write age equals to a dot get int or styleable dot custom age with default value of 0, and char sequence text equals to a get text styleable text. I go like this about it, and then I can use these variables. The difference here is that it doesn't do anything if the index doesn't exist. The first difference within these two codes. Instead I just define a default value to have as age, and it actually most of the time it happens. The other scenario I can think of that why they write it like this in the Android source code, I think it's because that sometimes these attributes correlate, like for text view. Imagine you have max lines like 3, single line, true, marquee, I've forgotten the name of the attribute. A lot of stuff like auto link, autofill hints, like input type. Oh, okay, ellipse size, and also input type, number, and max length. Stuff like this, like input type and max length correlate. These three correlate also, and I think when they do this like this, they are actually respecting the order of which the attributes are defined, and it's maybe because they have correlations and they want just to have the behavior predefined, because they might influence your output. But anyways, I have never needed to use it like this. I will remove this code, and you can read your attributes like this and then use them in any way you want. Like I can define a variable, private in age, or private char sequence string, in text, it has a reason, and also like in education, and then education, and that custom education, default value of education diploma. Let me define a none to education none, like not provided. So you read your variables and then you recycle the typed array, and then you can set your local variables, or you can have a method for it like public void set age equals to age, like this. So I say set age in education equals to education, and then text equals to text. It might be null, so string the value of I'm afraid. So something like this. So I am keeping my variables and receiving them as attributes, and that's all. That's how you read attributes from the attributes that are defined in the XML file. So this was it. I hope you understood. I don't think my English is actually very well, and please like and subscribe so other people could see this content too and can benefit from it. Have a good time. This is Open Code Wheels, and goodbye.